This is Stefan Sagmeister. He's a graphic designer originally from Austria who's been running his own studio in New York for the last 30 years. Sagmeister started at a counterculture magazine as a teenager, contributing illustrations, type layout, and photography. He went on to formally study design at the Academy of Fine Arts in Austria and the Pratt Institute in New York in the 1980s. His design career started in college, designing posters for a local theater group. After school, Sagmeister worked for Leo Burnett, running a firm in Hong Kong in 1991. Sagmeister then headed to New York in 1993, where he worked for Tabor Kalman's M&Co. Before starting his own firm the same year. Nudity is a common and reoccurring theme in Sagmeister's work. He uses the human body for a variety of purposes. In my opinion, most of his work using the human figure can be broken down into a few categories: provocative, humanizing, or humorous. In 1993, when Sagmeister opened his own design firm, he sent out this postcard to potential clients. The card had a piece of tape for modesty, but the tape was certainly optional. When I see work like this, I assume the goal is to be controversial and get people talking, which it certainly did. He recreated the same image in 2013 when he took on a design partner, Jessica Walsh, and the same idea for some fun team photos. We could assume that he chooses to use nudity simply for shock value, but I find that much of his work in the nude has a humanizing factor to it. This is an installation for the Happy Show, an exhibit he started in 2012. The human figure is used like an infograph with statistics, which to some extent could be cold and uninviting. But by using the naked form to represent different sections of society, the work feels personal and more humanizing than maybe if the figures were clothed. Among his best-known work is this poster promoting a 1999 lecture for the American Institute of Graphic Arts. The poster was made by carving the event details directly onto Sagmeister's torso using an X-Acto knife. He apparently wanted the work to convey the pain that accompanies most design studio projects. Another example is this poster, which shows Sagmeister before and after consuming all the junk food shown in this poster over a week's time, causing 25 pounds of weight gain. These self-harm techniques as visual design pieces pushed boundaries and are still provocative. And it's important to talk about the era in which these works were created, or at the very least influenced by. In the 1990s, Sagmeister worked in Hong Kong, and his team put out a variety of highly controversial pieces in a very conservative corporate environment. The work, like this poster, sparked huge controversy, but also brought in lots of clients and pushed boundaries, leading to more creative work. I think Sagmeister understood the value of getting people's attention. The last thing I want to talk about is Sagmeister's package designs. I found this category so exciting, especially for designers today who produce so much digital work. I really connected with the idea of the physically printed product and the thoughtful designs that Stefan put into his work. The first piece here is a series of postcards he created as his final project in college. Each postcard folds out into a 3D model that serves a different purpose. This one is a sundial. This one is a record player that played actual music. The amount of thought and detail that must have gone into this project, it must have been a huge undertaking, and to me it shows a clear passion for design and end-user experience. Another great place to explore his package designs is in album work, my favorite being this first album design, where he created a 40-page booklet using thin paper traditionally used for Bible printing for an album recorded in a church. I just think the execution and final product of this looks so beautiful, and I certainly would have bought the CD just for the packaging experience. I learned a lot from my research into Stefan Sagmeister. The big takeaways were really about creating connections. In learning about his projects, I was struck by the level of detail and research that Sagmeister put into his work. So much of his work has complex narratives and backstories, or on the other hand, straight up literal humor, both things I very much appreciate. I feel Sagmeister rewards a thoughtful audience in his package designs, his personal projects, and his more physically provocative work. His attention to detail, his use of photography, and of the physical, whether it be physical bodies or physical products, creates an emotional connection and response for the end user. I wrote this idea out, and then I found out on his website that this is actually something he tries to do in his work. When asked the question, "How would you describe yourself as a designer?" he answered, "I'm interested in creating an emotional connection to an audience. I have always been jealous of our music clients who often achieve this much deeper, quicker, and more immediately." I think this really speaks to his success in creating that connection.